Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about one of the most iconic fashion brands of all time. A brand synonymous with luxury, sex appeal, and power, Versace. We're going to delve into the elements that made Versace the exuberant fashion house that defined the 90s like no other. Versace was founded in 1978 by the late Gianni Versace, who along with his sister, the businesswoman and current face of the brand, Donatella Versace, and their brother Santo, who is the current CEO of Versace, began their journey in fashion by selling leather goods from their home in Italy. However, it wasn't until the 1980s that the brand took off. By the 90s, Versace had become a global phenomenon. Versace was the epitome of the decadent excess that characterized the decade. But what was it exactly that made Versace so emblematic of the 90s? Let us break down some of the elements that made Versace the iconic brand it was during that era. The first element that made Versace so emblematic of the 90s was its clothing. Versace's clothes were known for being body-hugging and often featured cutouts. This was particularly true of their evening dresses, which were designed to accentuate the female form and leave little to the imagination. For example, one of the most iconic looks from the era is the dress Madonna wore in the music video for Like a Prayer. The dress was a custom-made Versace creation and featured a plunging neckline and a thigh-high slit. It was a daring look that was typical of the brand and helped to make Versace a household name. Another iconic Versace look from the 90s was the safety pin dress worn by Elizabeth Hurley to the 1994 premiere of the film For Weddings and a Funeral. The dress was a simple black gown that was adorned with large silver safety pins. It was a clever and innovative design that was typical of Versace's creative approach. These are just two examples of how Versace's clothing embodied the sex symbol, rock and roll attitude of the 90s. Versace also used a lot of bold prints in their clothing. One of the most popular prints from the era was the Baroque print, which was inspired by the ornate and decadent style of the late 18th century. Versace used the Baroque print in everything from dresses to handbags to shoes. It was a versatile print that could be dressed up or down and was popular with celebrities like Princess Diana and Madonna. Another popular Versace print from the 90s was the animal print, particularly the leopard print. Versace used the animal print in a variety of different ways, sometimes using it as an all-over print and sometimes using it as an accent print. It was a daring and sexy print that was perfect for the 90s and remains popular today, besides prints. Another thing that made Versace so emblematic of the 90s was the use of luxurious materials in their clothing. Versace was one of the first brands to use leather in a chic and sophisticated way, making it popular among the younger generation. Leather was used in everything from jackets to dresses to handbags. It was a durable and edgy material that was perfect for the 90s and remains popular today. Another luxurious material that Versace used extensively in the 90s was silk. Silk was used in everything from scarves to dresses to suits. It was a sophisticated and elegant material that added a touch of glamour to any outfit. In addition to their clothing, Versace's accessories were also emblematic of the 90s. Versace perfumes were named after mythological figures like Eros and Lala Nui, and the bottles were often designed in the shape of Greek and Roman statues. Versace watches and jewelry were often adorned with the head of Medusa, the mythical creature who turned people to stone with her gaze. This use of mythology and folklore in their accessories was a nod to the Italian heritage and was also popular during the 90s. Besides jewelry and watches, Versace also produced bold and daring shoes. The brand was one of the first to experiment with platform shoes, which were popular in the 90s. Versace platforms were particularly daring, often featuring multiple straps and buckles. They were the perfect accessory for a daring and confident woman who was not afraid to make a statement. Handbags were also an important part of the Versace accessories collection. In the 90s, Versace handbags were often adorned with the brand's signature Medusa head logo. They were also available in a variety of bold colors, including bright blue, red, and yellow. One of the most iconic Versace handbags from the 90s is the La Medusa bag. This bag was named after the mythical creature Medusa and featured a large gold Medusa head clasp. It was a bold and a catching bag that was perfect for the 90s. Another popular Versace handbag from the era was the Versace bag. This bag was designed for a younger audience and featured a more affordable price tag than the mainline Versace bags. It was available in a variety of fun colors and was often adorned with playful prints. Versace's advertising campaigns were also emblematic of the 90s. They were unapologetically sexual and often featured topless women. This was a departure from the more conservative advertising campaigns of the past and was a reflection of the changing times. Versace was not afraid to push the boundaries, and they knew how to get people talking. So what was it about Versace that made it so emblematic of the 90s? What was so appealing about this brand that captured the essence of the decade? First of all, Versace was a brand that celebrated excess and opulence. The 90s was a time when people were willing to take risks and experiment with their style. Versace offered them the perfect opportunity to do so. The brand's clothing and accessories were a blank canvas for self-expression, and people loved it. Secondly, Versace was a brand that was unapologetically sexual. The 90s was a time when people were becoming more comfortable with their sexuality, and Versace embraced it. The brand's clothing and advertising campaigns were a celebration of the female form, and people loved it. Finally, Versace was a brand that was unafraid to be controversial. The 90s was a time when people were looking for a little bit of edge, and Versace delivered it. The brand's clothing and accessories were a way for people to make a statement and stand out from the crowd. If you remember the 90s, then you know that Versace was more than just a fashion brand. It was a cultural icon. The brand's clothing and accessories were a way for people to express themselves and show the world that they were not afraid to be bold, daring, and unapologetic. If you've never experienced the 90s firsthand, then you might not understand why Versace was so emblematic of the era. But if you look at the brand's clothing and accessories, you can see that they still have the same sex, symbol, rock and roll attitude that made them so popular in the first place. Versace may have been founded in the 70s, but it was in the 90s that the brand really came into its own. If you want to learn more about Versace and the history of fashion, be sure to check out our other videos. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.